Whose responsibility is it to raise children of a forbidden union? Meaning that the Most High Yah has told us not to have children via unions like this, whether it be sexual immorality, whether it be fornication, or whether it be the etymology of the word bastard, children of incest. And today, man, I'm going to hit on some important things because, the brother over at the Covenant Homestead did a video on this, and, it was a great topic, and I wanted to give those that are challenged with navigating this some words of wisdom that might help your situation out. Now, some of the advice that I'm going to give you, you may not like, but it might be your best chance at gaining some traction, at your children having a decent chance in life and not being at the bottom of the barrel statistically. So shout out to the Covenant Homestead. Go check his channel out, man. Hit that like button while you're over there because he did a great video on this. So, man, the etymology of the word bastard originates from the Hebrew word, and it means children of incest. But when we look at in the English definition, man, this is talking about children that are born out of wedlock when we look at the English definition, okay? And this video, the advice is going to pertain to even if we're talking about the etymology, we're talking about fatherless, we're talking about children born of a forbidden union. Now, when it comes to widows and their children have a different provision than the majority of, sisters out here that are raising children that fall into these single mother categories. The book says, man, pure religion undefiled before the Most High Yah is to cover the widows and the orphans or the fatherless, meaning their fathers has died, in their affliction, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. That's a pure religion, okay? Pure type of worship. But the reality is a lot of these women that have children of forbidden unions, their children are not fatherless. And I'm gonna read in the word and give you some of this word and go from there and give you some of these statistics and tell you what you can do about it, because simply, man, there is not enough men going around that fit the desire and expectations and criteria and preferences of a lot of these women that have children but want, the man that checks off every one of their, boxes. They want to be courted by a man that checks off every one of their boxes on their list. And there's just simply not enough of those men to go around. So we're dealing with reality. And the truth about it is, man, we're seeing on some of these shows that are surfacing, giving you a look at people's expectations and how their, preferences for who they want to take serious is causing them to fail. Man, we've seen it on shows like Pop the Balloon countless times where, man, you will have a man that's on board. It's okay. You say, well, my limit is, I'm okay with possibly entertaining a woman that has no more than 2 children, but they got to be by the same man. There's an opportunity, but we're seeing it where women will pop these women instead of seeing that as an opportunity and saying, hey, whatever I need to do in order to, be up in a union recognized by the Most High Yah to be covered, they're popping on these men because of their shoes. He makes $10,000-$20,000 too little. And I'm gonna be honest, man. If you are out there as a single mother, regardless of how you got in there, you can't be picky and expect for a man to come along and you want him to wife you up, to father these children, take your children to Disney World. You're going to want to go to the Bahamas year after year. You know, you want him to take your children to the mall and buy them $200 shit. It's just, that stuff is not the reality of what you're dealing with. So I want to give the daughters of Zion, you know, some expectation management, because, man, there are men out there that are willing to assume the risk and the liability of, you know, entering into a union like that. But, you know, when you think about that, as a woman, man, you might want to be content with the basics, with the necessities. Okay, there's nothing wrong with a man that's willing to take you and your children in and allow you guys to have a more prosperous life by providing you the basics. Okay, a roof over your head, a stable roof, you know, clothes on your back, you know, food in the refrigerator, and maybe health care. There's guys out there that can provide that. But, you know, women will turn these men down because they don't look like the 1% man. He's not making 300,000-400,000. And there are men out there that, you know, are willing to, but oftentimes they're met with the pickiest of women. I don't like his haircut. I don't like his shoes. I don't like the way he put them pants together with that shirt. It don't match. You can't be out there moving like that, carrying the whole load, because I don't know if you haven't read in the book, when you have children of a forbidden union, by design, you're gonna struggle. By design, you're not gonna be at the front of the pack when it comes to getting blessed. So I'm gonna call off some statistics, and you know, this should open your eyes. I know some people will be offended, but I'm truly trying to give you some wisdom so you can navigate this, because if you choose to say, you know what, I'm just gonna take my chances on trying to get the man I want, man, that's got like a 99% fail rate statistically across the board. And men are the more women that are coming out saying some of their standards and expectations, the more men are realizing, yep, I'm not signing up for that. The men that might have said, you know what, I'm open to that, now they're saying nope, a hard no. And, you know, this message in this video is not going to help, you know, it's not going to help the wide range of single mothers out there. But if, you know, onesies and twosies can take some of this advice and say, you know what, man, that's some good wisdom. I'm going to roll with that. I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to take my pride out of it and actually focus on the basics, focus on the necessities, because at the end of the day, ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay? Man, when we look at the wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, it says, better is it to have no children and to have virtue, for the memorial thereof is immortal, because it is known with Elohim and with men. When it is present, men take example at it, and when it's gone, they desire it. It wears a crown and triumphs forever, having gotten the victory, striving for undefiled rewards. Okay? But multiplying brood of the wicked shall not thrive, nor take deep root, rooting from bastards' lips, nor lay any fast foundation. For they flourish in branches for a time, yet standing not last. They should be shaken with the wind, and through the force of the winds they shall be rooted out. So we're talking about children born of an unforbidden union. And some of these statistics that I'm going to show you is going to reel in how prevalent this is in our community. Okay? Let's see. Let's keep going. Let me see. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, starting at verse 16. As for the children of those who break wedlock, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. So you see, by design, the Most High has already written this. It's not supposed to be. See, We got people out there that have children of forbidden unions that find the statistics that go along with that problematic, but biblically, man, it's not supposed. You're not supposed to have the best statistics, okay? For though they live long, yet they shall be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. Okay? Man, if we go up to verse 10, it says, but the wicked shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken Yahweh. For those who despise wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain, their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable. Their women are foolish, and their children wicked. Their offspring is cursed. Wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which has not known the sinful bed. She shall have fruit in the visitation of souls. So when we thinking about that, you know, man, it is already challenging enough to raise children of a union recognized by the Most High Yah. But let me go over some of these statistics because I want you to understand I'm going to give you statistics based on single mothers. And, you know, the onus is on you to do something about it, you know, as a woman, if you are raising these children, because a lot of these children are not fatherless. Okay? They are not fatherless. So I would say the question is from H, how do you repent from children born of a forbidden union? You know, those children are already here. And the repentance is turning from what got you there in the first place. You know, giving your body up to a man or entertain a man that did not want to fulfill a duty to you. So a huge problem that single mothers face and often don't recognize is, man, there will be a lot of men to line up and wow and woo you to sleep with you, and you hoping for something serious, they gonna let you know we ain't looking for that. I'm not willing to take you on, but they was more than willing to get behind that wagon and do some plowing. So you have to repent, you know, and turn from that, you know, that fornication, that sexual morality. Okay. And all you have to do is, as a child, you know, now if you follow the path that your parents walked in, now you're going to be unfruitful, because just as the rebellion of your parents, you know, and you're walking in that, you're going to bear the same type of fruit that they bear, which is not good fruit. So following after the will of Yah, if you are a child born of a forbidden union, walking in his ways, that's the best case scenario, because you're choosing to go a different direction than your parents went. And that's the only thing you can do. And we got a lot of brothers and sisters out there that is born of forbidden unions, and the only way that they're going to find protection to find the fruit of the Spirit and be able to bear good fruit is to walk in the ways of the Most High, to turn from the ways that their parents was moving in. You know, you have it as an example that did not work with your parents by way of fornication, sexual immorality, adultery, things like that. And knowing good and well that didn't work out for your parents. So you got to go contrary to that. You got to go the opposite direction. And what your parents did, if they're not willing to change their walk, they will continue to bear bad fruit. Okay? But for women out here raising children, you know, man, if your children's father is still alive, I need you to listen to what I'm saying. Because if your children's father is unmarried, I'm going to tell you, honestly, it's easier to do the work in the relationship, to build that relationship to where it needs to be, than to try to think that you're going to get some fairy tale man to come along and just swoop you up, you know, and you have, you know, some men are willing to take one, but that's few and far in between. Some men are willing to take a woman with 2 children. Some are willing to take 3. But right now, man, we are in a daytime and hour where men are saying flat out, man, I'm good on that. Because you got to think, man, it's not the resources aren't there, and you can't have the expectation for a man to provide financially and to cover you the way the book says cover you. You know, if he takes you as a wife and his food bill, $1,500, $2,000 is shooting up through the roof, just the way the world is right now. It's not practical. So every man, you know, if the economy was a little bit better, men would be like, okay, this might not be so bad. I might be able to do this. But now everything is high, going up, and we don't know where it's going. Man, that's signing up for a headache as a man. Okay? Man, 69 to 71% of black children are born out of wedlock or forbidden unions. This is the children of Israel. Now, these statistics, we know when we're looking at statistics, sometimes, man, they can be swayed, they can be a little bit off. But I'm going to give you just the stuff that I was able to find. You can go back and do your own analysis. Almost, you know, so it's good to say 70% of black children are born out of wedlock or forbidden union. So what does that mean? Man, that means there is a heck of a lot of children that are in foster care. There's a heck of a lot of women that are single moms out here moving, expecting for a man to come along and assume this responsibility. I tell you, as a man, I'm accountable for what's going on in my community and trying to shape it to be better, but I am nowhere directly responsible for laying down, producing children of a forbidden union. There's a difference between responsibility and accountability. And I want the sisters to understand, you know, you, as much as you may not want to take accountability, you have to take accountability and responsibility if this situation pertains to you. Remove your pride, remove your ego, so you and your children can get the best possible chance at a future versus you having to bear the load and still struggling on your own. Okay? Okay, 47% of all black mothers or daughters of Zion are single mothers. That's almost half. So when you think about that, you know, the rest of them being of unions recognized of marriage, and then the rest of them, you know, not being married. Not being married, okay? 53% of black women will not marry. That's the lowest out of all ethnicities, out of all race. And you have to think, man, we are programmed in a lot of ways to fail with propaganda, with media, a lot of these narratives. You know, you got everybody else marrying in their youth and then having children, you know, and prospering, and we do everything out of order. I want you to think, man, the word says, man, I will have that the younger women marry, bear children, second order of business, guide the house, third order of business, give the adversary no reason to speak reproachfully. And you have to think, man, in our community, the statistics show we do everything backwards. And I've said it before, you know, a lot of our women, younger women, do not need to be entertaining men because a lot of our men are not ready to be providers, to be protectors. And when you lack commitment and you just say, well, we just gonna go ahead and go our own separate ways, you have to think, man, it takes, you know, starting out, building a family, trying to do it right, it takes time, you know, faith and obedience to the will of Yah for that family to get where it needs to be at a comfortable place. But if you lack commitment and you just ready to jump ship because you got a disagreement or you don't agree with some, or, you know, you just ain't going to cooperate, or you saying I'm not going to change, hey, that's going to end up bad for you. Okay? 39% of black women will divorce. Highest out of any, you know, gender and ethnic group. It's the highest. I tell brothers, man, you know, man, when you enter into a marriage, especially with the daughters of Zion, man, you need to have the fruit of the Spirit. You need to have it. You need to have patience, temperance, you know, long suffering, joy. You need to have all of that, because if not, statistically, man, you ain't going to make it. It's going to be rough. 42% of black female college students are single mothers and never married. It's the highest. So, that statistic goes to show, man, you got people that go to college, leave with a degree and a husband and then have some children. But in our community, we got 42%, that's going to college and leaving with a baby. Okay. When we look at benefits, whose responsibility is it to provide? Is it the taxpayers to provide for these children or forbidding unions? 71% of Black single mothers receive SNAP and TANF benefits annually. Okay, so the resources are coming from somewhere, but is it really taxpayers' responsibility to raise these children? Only 40% of Black single mothers receive any form of child support. We got the lowest, rating for our children getting support. So we got 60% of these children, being raised by their mother, and there is no fight to get provisions for the children. That doesn't mean 60% of these children's fathers are dead. You got a small percentage of that's incarcerated and things like that. But I want you to understand what you are saying and logically how it is received when you say, man, I'm a single mother looking for a good man, what the world says is a high value man, and I'm looking for him to take me and my children in and to treat us like our own. You got to understand, man, that man that you put that great expectation on, and your expectations are above basic, but yet you haven't fought or tried to get any kind of child support for your children, man, that's a huge financial burden. That's a huge financial burden. Some women, if your children's father is still around, and hasn't moved on, hasn't married or started another family, you got women out there that's getting $100 in child support, $200 for 2 children. And these men, because you're out here trying to work and be competitive in the workplace, and because your income is comparable to his, now you getting $100, $200, and you're like, man, this ain't even hitting on nothing. So you have more faith that the system was going to work out for you, but the system by design, wasn't worked out like that. And in order to get them provisions for you and your children, and for you not to be stressed out and tired all the time, man, it might do you some good to say, you know what, man, let me go back to this man who I chose to lay down and have children with. And if he is available, let me present the opportunity and saying, you know what, I'm willing to do the work on myself. I'm willing to submit. I'm willing to be cooperative. That's 9 out of 10. That's either the man is a deadbeat or the woman don't want to cooperate. There ain't too many other reasons why these relationships are failing at a catastrophic rate. You got a lot of relationships that's one night stands and all of this. Hey, but the onus is on you. If you had a child, multiple children out of one night stands and all of that, hey, best case scenario, if you got children by one man, you can go back and say, hey, I'm willing to do the work. I'm okay with the basics. I'm not going to put any higher expectations than what the Most High Yah has outlined. And you'd be surprised, man, a lot of these men, rather than having to go back and forth in this system, would be more than willing to cover the woman, provide, for their children that they laid down and made, and because they're going to get to spend a lot of time with their children. There ain't nothing wrong with that, man. You got to think what you're getting right now. You're taking 100% of the load, and your children are eating you out of house and a home. These benefits ain't really hitting on nothing. You really don't want to be on them. You're only getting $100, $200 for, in child support due to your income and all of this. So you might have to say, hey, man, let me go back and submit myself to this man who I chose to give my body to, so I'm not out here putting unrealistic expectations on other men that ain't going for it. And you'd be surprised, man, if both man and woman was willing to do the work on self, it would be a lot easier to work on that than to think that just some random 1% man is going to come along. That it seems like a lot of these single moms that get on the internet and start speaking, they all going after the same man. What happens when that man don't want you? You know, what happens when he ain't interested in the package that you presenting? You know, man, we got a generation of women right now that aren't hearkening to wisdom, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna take my lottery chances. I'm gonna take my win the lottery chances. So rather than doing the work on self for a man and humbling yourself, lowering your pride, you know, you say, you know what? Now I'm gonna go get that. I'm gonna go get that baddie starter package. I'm gonna go get that BBL. I'm gonna go get sucked up. I'm gonna go get my breasts done, my lips done. And what you're finding out is that doesn't, men see you with them children and moving like that, and you done done all this extra. They really don't want no part of it, because a man can go get sex from any woman. A man can get sex from a bird. A man can get sex from any, but the Most High Yah is gonna outline it where a man should do it in righteousness. So when you think about some of these statistics that I'm about to get into, you're asking a lot of a man, but oftentimes asking very little, if and or nothing, from the father who you laid down and had this child with. Okay? 69.4% of black single mothers did not earn a certificate or degree within 6 years of enrollment. So what does that mean? When you think about it, there's going to be some high student loan debt there. You got to think about it. We have some of the most grants, you know, some of the most educational resources, but we the ones that least apply for it. So we leave with an exorbitant amount of student loan debt. So not only when you're coming saying, you know, I'm a single mom, I'm educated, I got my master's, I got a double bachelor's, the percentage wise of you being debt free and coming into that relationship, it's not good. So you're going to have, not only you're going to have to work hard to try to pay these student loans down. A lot of people don't pay them off. So that's just adding on to the package of having some children. Okay? The average amount of children for black single mothers is 2 children. So the average daughter of Zion that's a single mother has 2 children. There's some that's got more, there's some that's got less. And we've seen those extremes, sometimes 5, sometimes 8. You know, this is crazy. Okay, this is almost as high as that of married black couples being 3. The average amount of children for the average black married couple is 3 children. So children born of forbidden unions are being popped out left and right. They shouldn't be competing with the married people and expecting the same type of provisions when you took 2 polar opposite type of paths to get there. Okay, here's another one. Black lesbian women have the most children out of any other participating race, ethnicity in the LGBTQ populations. So your children is more susceptible to be introduced into this stuff and to go that path. You know, when we look at domestic violence amongst lesbians, it's the highest across the board. It's the highest across the board. So you're raising children to be in this environment. You so fed up and bitter with men, you know, and oftentimes you might be using that bitterness as an excuse for you not wanting to change to be what the book, you know, says you should be. You know, and I tell you, your best case scenario, like I said, man, if you've got children and they're all by the same man and he hasn't moved on, man, that's the best case scenario. Humble yourself and say, hey, what do we got to do to make this work? And whatever that man, if that man says, you know, I'm willing to take you guys back in, I'm willing to work with you, be patient, but I need you to be cooperative. I need you to let me lead. I need you to support me emotionally like a woman should. Man, roll with that and keep it pushing. Roll with that and keep it pushing. See, the expectation is because you moved in lawlessness, you think every single mother supposed to get a Michael B. Jordan. You're supposed to get a Denzel White. But guess what? The Michael B's ain't interested in you. The Denzels, they marry. You know, once we start lining up the dudes that you want and you like, I want a man like that, they taken or they don't want you. And the men that are willing to deal with you, you are canceling him out. I don't like his shoes. He doesn't look the best. He doesn't match my swagger. He's not on my income level. I mean, and if you're moving like that, keep doing it on your own. If you're happy doing that, keep doing it on your own. But you cannot cry wolf and play this role of I'm a victim of single motherhood and help me. I need some help. I'm in distress. You got men out there we're seeing like on shows like Pop the Balloon that are more than willing to give you an opportunity, but you can't be canceling them out for dumb stuff. You can't be canceling them out. You don't like, okay, there was a man on there that was a sheriff, and he said, man, I'm open to entertaining a woman with 2 children. You got to think, man, every woman was on there. I want a good protector. I want a good provider. This man come out, he wasn't the tallest, wasn't the shortest, got a good career. He said, I'm a sheriff. I'm looking for a woman, that I can grow with. I don't mind if she has you. That's not a deal breaker. Man, they pop that man left and right. Pop, 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 pop. You got to think, man, if 10 women, this is how crazy Western culture is. And this is where people truly might need to return to the Eastern, Hebraic culture. You got 10 women competing for one man. All of them want him, but yet all of them want a monogamous relationship, and the baggage that they bring looks similar. And he's like, no, I'm going this way. So you're just gonna live the rest of your life waiting on that chance to hit a winning lottery ticket, or you actually gonna humble thyself and be content with the basics? There's nothing wrong with the basics. There's nothing wrong with a man that's willing to entertain you. Your children need shoes. He say, man, let's take them down to Rack Room Shoes and find out if they got some shoes on sale. It ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It ain't nothing wrong with a man saying, hey, we can't shop at Target because this stuff is a little bit higher. We might have to shop, at Aldi's and Sam's Club, buying both, save where we can, in order to make sure everybody's fed. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the man saying, yeah, hey, that car you got, don't expect to have, we can keep that thing running because it's a reliable car and we can put the work on it, but don't expect me to buy Mercedes C-Class. Don't expect that. So when you manage your expectations and have realistic expectations, it's a lot easier for somebody to come along. But then again, we have some of the daughters of Zion, man, that their situations are so weighty in the wrong direction, where you got 3, 4, 5 children, all by different men. Man, you're talking about, man, a man has a better chance of making it to the NFL than that woman does of actually finding a man that's willing to take in all her children. But the men what you find out is, when that happens, you get so desperate for love and an opportunity, you let these men lay down with you and they run your body count up and the virtue is gone. That's why I gave you the word, man. It's better to have no children than to have children of a forbidden union. It's better to maintain your virtue. Okay? So when we look at the statistics, man, what you're asking a complete stranger, that could find a woman that does not have children, and that's going to be that's not a challenge, but a man has to be patient. Okay, he could find a woman and not have all of these initial, responsibilities that really don't benefit him. But 9 times out of 10, what I want you to understand, what you're asking a man, when you're asking for this high value man, and you don't want, women are saying, I got 5 children, but I don't want him to have no children. I make 30,000. I'm struggling. I make 50,000. I'm struggling to take care of these children, but I want him to make 500,000. This is what you're asking these men to sign up for: feeding and clothing your children. Because when you go to the grocery store, you're not expecting to say, "Well, I'm gonna buy their food in one cart and you get our food in another cart." You're gonna have a divided refrigerator? No. You're expecting that man to come along and fight for that food. We've seen that video where that lady was expecting one of her children's fathers to buy McDonald's for the rest of them other children. He was like, them ain't my children. So, elevated food costs, poor academic performance, you're signing up as a man. If a woman's got children of a forbidden union, that school gonna be calling, because the chances of them having poor academic performance is gonna be through the roof. Higher dropout rates, because the parents weren't committed to trying to figure it out and get the relationship where it should be. Children gonna resemble the same thing. So they're gonna be like, you know what, this school ain't really for me. And you're gonna be trying to talk sense into somebody that's statistically proven to, man, 9 times out of 10, not do as well as they should. Higher discipline issues. You have to think, man, a man coming along, you might know as a woman that your children have some discipline issues. You don't have the yes ma'am, no ma'am, the children that don't talk back. You don't have them type of children 9 times out of 10. And you want a man to come in and bring you a award-winning home structure, but yet you're not gonna support him. You got too many women out here with children talking about, yeah, you don't really need to talk to my children about this, but yet these children supposed to be eating up all my food, but yet I'm supposed to be paying these medical bills. When they go to the doctors and need physicals, yes, you putting that on me, but yet I don't have the reins to be able to discipline them and raise them up in structure, but yet you want me to make them disciplined. That's what you expecting men to sign up for. Okay? Higher discipline issues, earlier rate of being sexually active. So, this is when you see these young girls and young boys that's 12 and 13-year-old mothers and fathers. These are children that are coming from forbidden unions, out there sexually active, following in the same type of lawlessness that their parents was in. Higher runaway potential. Children just, you say, you know what, this ain't it, I'm going to just run away. Okay? Higher rate of depression. So you asking for a man to sign up with your children because they're angry, they're depressed, they can't figure out why their life is not the way everybody else or some of their friends' life is. So a man might have to put the child through therapy, try to talk and have all kind of conversation that the child may not psychologically be prepared to receive. This is why I said, man, it might be better if your child's father is available and open to the option. You say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna remove you off child support. I'm gonna go down there and tell them people, hey, don't even contact us no more. That case, you can drop it. This legal visitation agreement, all of that is nixed. We want to be up under your leadership. I will submit to you, I will cooperate you, and that's what it is. If we got a disagreement, I will default submit to what your will is. And that's gonna be the best case scenario. Higher rate of rape, sexual abuse, assault. You gotta think, man, there's women out there raising children that already have experienced rape, sexual abuse, and assault, and you want a man to come along and sweep y'all up. And, man, these children are psychologically unstable. They haven't got the help they need to be able to overcome that, but yet you want this 1% man, to come along and clean all this up. It's like a janitor, man. A janitor knows his duty description, that he's going to be cleaning toilets, mopping floors. But the day a janitor has to walk in there and every one of them toilets is just blown out the wazoo, floating with all kind of fecal matter, if every day after that starts to be like that, man, he'll be like, you know what? I don't even really want this job. I'm having to clean up too much mess. You see what I'm saying? Higher rate of teenage pregnancy. This is real. Higher rate of teenage pregnancy. Man, there's videos out there, there's statistics showing that, okay, if you're a single mom and you got pregnant, by no good joker, man, there's a high probability if you got a daughter, they're going to do the same thing. It's a high probability if you got a son, they're going to do the same thing. So this is everything. As much as you cannot simply say, well, you don't have to worry about my children. No, that's not the way that works. A man that comes along and wants to take you serious, man, you can't separate you from your children if you the one raising them. It just doesn't work like that. So I wanted to talk to the daughters of Zion, as men as well, because, man, as a man, if you're in this boat and, you know, the woman that you're having children is struggling raising these children, you might have to say, hey, things ain't really working out for you the way that you thought they was, and I would much rather build this as a unit, but these are my terms. These are my terms. You might fare well as a man by doing that than to simply, you know, have this struggling dynamic where you really don't get to see your children. You know, you're constantly worried about having to go and back and forth with this system, you know, nickel and diming, when you know you got the resource. You know you've always got food in your refrigerator. You know you've always got a roof over your head, clothes on your back, you know. And we have to, there's far too many young people, man, that, you know, they got, you know, Birkin bag and Hellcat expectations from the beginning of a relationship, and no work has been done. No work has been done. You know, you've got single moms paying an exorbitant amount in childcare, and the income that they're making is not enough to even cover it. And that's why you need some of this assistance. It might be beneficial for you if you've got children by the same man and you're out here struggling, you know, humbling your pride and acknowledging the fact, okay, I'm not doing as well as I want. It would be better for you to stay at home and take care of those children, to pay an exorbitant amount of daycare bill. It would be better off to support that man emotionally, be supportive and cooperative, so he can go out and be the best provider he can be for his family. It's hard to ask that of a man when you constantly at his throat, when you constantly nagging him. You don't want to submit. Nothing he does is good enough. He's keeping them lights on, a roof over your head, food in the refrigerator, and that ain't good enough. And the book says it's good enough. So I tell you, man, it's by design, man. If you, you know, if you are a woman, you've got daughters, man, you need to let them hear this, because by design, you're not going to lay down and have all these children of a forbidden union and just be, it's not going to be fairy tale. You're going to be met with a lot of struggle, a lot of adversity, a lot of tribulation, but you can overcome it. If you're not willing to humble your pride, remove your ego, and operate in a realistic, logical realm of what you're actually facing, hey, be my guest. But nobody said it was going to be easy. Living righteous ain't easy. And living lawless, to have the expectation that life is supposed to be a bag of chips and soda, man, you out your mind. So I hope I said something to stimulate thought. I know there will be some that will be offended, but I gave you. I don't give a dang if you if you had children, which, you know, of incest. Hey, that's y'all responsibility. That's y'all responsibility. If you had children with a man who was a criminal, man, that is y'all responsibility to take care of them children. You shouldn't be putting. You have some women out there call themselves trying to guilt trip and make a man feel bad because he's not willing to take care of another man's children. Where they do that at? Who raised you? That's crazy work. It's not nobody else's responsibility. It's not taxpayers. It's nobody else's responsibility to take care of your children. You and you know, even y'all had to work something out, because the chances of somebody coming along that make $500,000, that's willing to put you up in a brand new Mercedes or BMW, allow you to just spend all this money and splurge and shop and buy the mall like you want to do, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. The men out there that make that kind of money, the men out there that have some of the traits that you, or some of the characteristics externally that you looking for, man, they don't want you. They don't want you. I think what's his name, Carlos Miller, he said one of the coldest lines, and a lot of women went at his throat for this, but he said, hey, man, some of these high-value men, man, they don't wake up thinking about, man, let me go in this world and find Brenda with the 3 kids. That's not how they wake up and their mind processes. So that should drive the point home. But a lot of you, your situations are not as bad as you think, but your pride, your ego, your lack of cooperation, you know, you should be solution-based in a relationship. You shouldn't be trying to be uncooperative and always going at a man throat. It should be solution based. Let's find a solution. And the head gets the final say of this is what we going with. If that man say we're gonna shop at Sam's Club, we're gonna shop at Piggly Wiggly to get the food, that's where we getting it from. That man say, hey, I can provide the basics, but we're gonna go to Rack Room Shoes and we're gonna find shoes on sale. I need you looking in that Sunday paper to find where we can use some coupons, some discounts, where we're gonna make this work. That's a better situation than you out here doing it 100% on your own, and you're tired, working your feet to the bone. You can't even be feminine at that point. And a lot of women had a problem. A lot of mothers had a problem with being masculine because the boat that they're in, you're having to carry the load that was meant for masculine. So the only way, and here's another one, man. A lot of single moms, they are fearful that they can't even really be in their feminine role to be a helpmeet to a man, because deep down how you get, and at a moment's notice you can go off the deep end, and a good man worth his weight is not going to tolerate that. So that's the reason why a lot of you won't submit yourself to the man of your dreams and come off of that job. You won't come off of that job because you got mouths to feed that is not his responsibility. It's not that next man's responsibility. But following the will of Yah, being in proper alignment with what the character of a set apart woman should be, walking in that will, you can correct it. You can correct it. But trying to conform to the ways of the world and navigate single motherhood, oh man, you're going to fall flat on your face. You're going to fail. It ain't going to be easy. It's not by design to be easy. And we got far too many, man. Man, when I had my daughter recently, man, there was younger women in the hospital, 19 years old, 20 years old. They asking, where's the father at? Oh, we ain't really on that. I'm going to do this by myself. What? That's crazy work. I want you to understand, man, in these unions, it's not about, when you think about marriage and a union recognized by the Most High Yah, man, it's spiritual warfare. But it ain't nowhere as bad as trying to do it outside of the will of Yah. At least in the will of Yah, you've got protection, you've got provision. He recognizes your request and the things that you're asking for because you've done it according to his will. But being 19 years old, don't have a pot to piss in, you depending on other people, and you talking about you going to do this by yourself. By design, it was not designed for you to do it by yourself. And oftentimes you talking about you got an absent father, man, let that man see his children. If you got sons and they rebellious, hey, cut the child support off, send them children with their father. Statistically, they going to do better. That little you griping about this little bit of money you get, oh, I'm only getting $130. This ain't how I'm supposed to do this. Send them children with their father. Go down to that child's where, hey, I'm just here to cut all this off because this system, what I got going on in this system ain't gonna work out. And you send your sons off, hey, send them so they can get some structure, some discipline, contrary to what you feel about that man. Separate what you feel about how the relationship went versus his roles and responsibility as a father. You have to think, how present do you expect a man to be to lay down and have a child with you in Florida, and you doggone move you in your feelings, you move them children cross country, and now you talking about, well, he really don't see them but 2-3 times a year. Well, yeah, because he got to buy plane tickets. He's got to pay hotel fees. I'm telling you the scenario. Hey, you might want to relocate back to the doggone the same city and present the opportunity that I said. If he hasn't moved on, another way is if a man is remarried and has a state issued marriage license, he cannot take you as a wife, take you as an additional wife via the system because the court won't allow it. They will call that bigotry. But he could take you in. But 9 times out of 10, the woman that he got, if he's got a state issue marriage license, she ain't built for that, and she's gonna raise hell in his life. So the best thing you can do is say, hey, we're gonna let you have custody of these children, so you can try to regain some traction in your life. And it doesn't make you less of a mother. Providing for them children, that's a man's responsibility. It doesn't make you less of a mother because you let your children go stay with their father. A man will figure that out. Let him figure that out. I'm not telling you to let your children go live with a man that's in a halfway house. That's not what I'm saying. But if you know that man is doing financially well for himself and he's capable, and you're month to month, this ain't working out for you, every time a bill comes, you having a significant amount, man, send them children on. Another thing, as a single mother, you oftentimes, because you don't have a father in the home and you feel some kind of way, you try to overcompensate by materialism and consumerism. Stop buying all your children all of this nonsense they don't need. Every payday, your child don't need a new video game. Your child is gonna beg you for V-Bucks. They don't need V-Bucks. You got to worry about maintaining what you got. Buying your children these high-end clothes, the latest and greatest iPhone. You're not in no situation to do that. And that's the reason why when certain things go out in your house, your alternator, your starter go out, you need tires on your car, it's a significant emotional event because of the luxurious lifestyle you live, and it's above your means. You can't be affording to do that. There ain't nothing wrong with you saying, you know what, the way this thing is set up right now, until something else shakes, we can't go out to eat but once a month. And we're going to have to be content and happy with that. You're going to have to, instead of trying to take your children out and do what married people do with their children, going to the movies and all of that, man, y'all might have to rent the movie on Amazon. Put some of that popcorn in the microwave. But the expectations are off the chain and out of this world of how, man, I was taking my family to get some ice cream, my wife and my children to get some ice cream, and the lady at the Dairy Queen was telling us she is pregnant with her 8th child, and my question is, are you married? She said, no, I'm not married. My wife knew why I was asking. That is a heck of a huge responsibility to put on a man. And you out here wanting this. You got women out here, okay, the set apart woman that's been raised in righteousness, that's submissive, that's modest, that has a low body count or is a virgin, that's in proper alignment. You gotta understand, a man is gonna choose that hands down. You have to think in basketball, the out of shape child is the last to get picked for the team in pickup. So you got to have some kind of attributes, characteristics that set you apart from the rest of the women. And that's why I said majority would do better and fare well if they go back to their children's father and say, hey, let's you haven't moved on and this is not working out for me. This is horribly wrong. But man, I am willing. And if you get to that point, take it slow, do the work on yourself. What's in you that wants to rise up and and be on his neck? I want you to think about it. When you sitting up watching and get off social media, seeing what everybody else is doing, y'all ain't there yet. The married couple, they might take their children to Disney World. Y'all ain't there yet. Help get some doggone some traction going. And when that stuff rises up in you, I want this. Tell yourself no. Tell yourself no. Don't put that expectation on that man. Most of y'all sets the expectation for a man at a basic level. At a basic level. A man does not have to buy you Birkin bags to be worthy of getting into the kingdom. But he's got to cover you, provide for you, protect you, and lead you. And he's good to go. As long as he's following the way of Yah. So I hope I said something to help you out. But this is, statistically, man, it is a problem in our community, and it's not nobody else's responsibility other than your own. And you got to do the work. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Closer to Yah Ministries, kicking it gun barrel straight.